Hey everybody, I'm finally back. I know it's been a while, but I've been super busy with school and other things. Today's tutorial is also going to be a thank you video because I've reached 100 subscribers. I know it's not a very big milestone, but it's still pretty cool. Thanks for your guys' support. In this tutorial, I'm going to be showing you how to make this cool text effect. So let's get into it. Okay, so here we are just with a new Blender file. And the first thing I want to do is open up some tabs. I'm going to have links to these in the description. This is the color palette I'm going to use. You don't have to use it if you don't want to. And then I've also gone ahead and downloaded a font from Google Fonts. I'm using just Roboto. You can use a different font, but these are all free. And you just click this download family button when you find one you like. Okay, let's get into Blender. So let's just delete the default cube. And we're going to add in a text object, so Shift A and then text. And then we're going to come in here, let's go to the font or text tab, and then under alignment we are going to choose horizontal center and vertical center. Now tab into edit mode, we can change what we want to say. I'm going to say thank you, because this is a thank you video after all. And then we are going to change our font. So go into this font section and we are going to open up our regular font and we can just search for the font we want. So Roboto, and I'm going to choose Roboto Black. So you can see we got really thick font here. Now let's go into geometry and we're going to add some thickness. So we're going to just turn up this extrude until we get something that looks reasonable. I'm going to go with something like this. And then that's all we have to do with the text. You can adjust some things, for example, character spacing, things like that. I'm going to call this good. Let's go to the modifiers tab and we are going to add first a remesh modifier. Change it to smooth, uncheck remove disconnected, and let's change our octree depth to 6. You might want to change it to something else, but this is what I'm going to be using. And now we are going to check smooth shading, and we are going to add a subsurf modifier, and I'm just going to hide this in the viewport because we don't really need it. Now let's add a symbol to form. And I'm going to leave it on twist, and we can leave the angle at 45. You might want to play around with this, but for right now, I'm going to leave it at, actually, maybe let's just do it something like 55. Okay, so now we have this twist in our text. Looks pretty cool. Let's set up our scene a little bit now. So we're going to, with our text selected, we're going to hit RX90 just to bring it so that we can see it from front view. Let's take our camera and we're going to hit Alt-G and Alt-R to clear its rotation and location. Let's hit RX90 and then bring it back using GY to bring it back on the Y-axis. Now if we go into camera view using numpad 0, we have our thank you text in front of us. Let's go to the camera properties and I'm going to change the focal length to something a little bit higher, something like 75 in this case. And then maybe we can also, if we need to, bring it forward on the y-axis, so G and Y. I'll just line it up to something like this. Now we are going to add our background plane. So let's hit Shift A, plane, GZ, just bring it down pretty far below the text, and we can scale it up by 5, so S5, tab into edit mode, and we can add a back edge. So select this back edge using 2 for edge select or clicking this up here. Let's hit E, Z, and 10. And then we can select this edge again and we're going to hit Control B to bevel that. And we can use the scroll wheel to add some cuts to make it smoother. Now we can just shade that smooth. And yeah, we're getting closer. So the next thing we're going to do is add our background rings. So let's add a circle. Tab into edit mode, RX90. Tap out of edit mode. Let's add a few modifiers. Let's add first a skin modifier, then a subdivision surface modifier, and then an array modifier. Okay, first let's go into edit mode again, and we can hit A and then Control A to change the radius on that skin modifier. And then let's shade smooth that skin modifier. Let's uncheck relative offset on that array. And then we can, actually I'm going to make the radius a little bit smaller, something like that. Tab out of edit mode again. And let's see, we want to use an object for our array. But first let's add that object. So hit Shift A, I'm just going to use an empty plain axis, or axes. And we can bring that back on the y-axis and then scale that down. And if we add if we select our ring, we can check object offset, open that up, and choose our empty for our object, and you can see what it's doing. Okay, let's just scale this ring up because I kind of want it to be around the text here, and we can also scale this empty up just to give us something that works. And let's select this again. We can add some account or add more to our count just so we have more rings. And let's try something like this. Okay, we're not really going to know how it looks until we shade it. So in order to get some good shading, let's first add our good lights. So we can select this light we already have here, hit Alt-G, and then Alt-R, go into camera view, and we can hit G and Z. Just bring that up above here. Let's go into the lighting tab, and we can choose our area light or change it to an area light and just scale that up. Okay, let's add a few more or two more lights. So we can just duplicate this, Shift D X, bring it down pretty far, and then RY, and kind of point it up. Okay, now let's add another one, Shift D, Shift Z, so it doesn't move along the Z axis, only the X and Y, and we can point that towards the middle. And if we need to, we can adjust that from a different view. Okay, I'm going to select this top light, and we can just change the power to 500. And yeah, let's go into our shading tab now. And we're going to do a few things. First, we're going to set up this viewport shading so that it uses our scene lights and our scene world. And then we are going to change over to cycles. And then we are going to come into camera view, change to our render view, and then we can add our render region. So it's just rendering stuff in the camera view. And then I'm also just going to turn on denoising and set my start sample to 32. Okay, so now we have our default kind of cycle scene, and we're going to start adding some materials. First, let's add this background material. So if we go just back into viewport shading, we can select that. And then we can add a new material, call it something like background. And then let's just go back to our color palette. And I'm going to be using this orange color here for our background. Come back in Blender and paste that hex value into here. Oops. Why is it? I guess I copied instead of pasted. I do that sometimes. Okay, paste that there. And then let's copy this yellow color next, and we're going to select our text, and let's add a new material, call it text. I'm going to delete this principal BSDF. Let's just add a glass BSDF, and we can paste that color into there and plug that in. And finally, for the rings, let's select those, and we can choose this text material, duplicate it, call it rings, and we're going to use that purple color. Again, you can use whatever colors you want, but these are the colors that I'm going to be using, and I thought that you might want to know what they were. Okay, let's go into rendered view, and you can see it's already looking pretty cool. So what I'm going to do is first select our text material. Let's play with the roughness a little bit. I'm going to try 0.3 to see how that looks. That's a little bit better. It's kind of giving us like the gummy bear look, which I kind of like. And I think we need to change the rings as well. Let's set that, try a roughness of 0.5 for that. That gives it kind of a more frosty glass look. Okay, I think this is looking pretty cool. I hope you thought this video was helpful. I had a lot of fun making it. I'm hoping to make some more videos in the next week, so let me know in the comments what you want to see. I've also been working for a while on a time-lapse project that I'm excited to show you guys, so stay tuned for that. Thanks again for watching.